When I walk into an exam room and meet with a patient's mom, they're often carrying not just the weight of the worry that they have about their child, but also all the invisible weight and pressure of everyone else's opinions. I'm Dr. Cameo Carter. I'm a board-certified pediatrician and mom of 3. And I've been noticing that the noise that moms in particular are carrying over the years has increased from family, from friends, social media, even strangers. All of that shapes how moms see themselves and how they see others. When did we start as women, as moms, seeing each other as competitors instead of seeing each other as allies? This does start really young. I think we can all think back to different times in school, even at a young age, where there was comparison and criticism. And in some people, it can develop into a habit in how they conduct themselves socially. And it's not always kept in check. And it's something that I think that we as women can do better at. Often amongst moms, it's really subtle. Things I've noticed is one mom saying to another who was eating some kind of food that they didn't think was the best choice, "I could never let my kid eat that." Or a judgment about a working mom saying, "She's always working. Doesn't she miss her kids?" Or a mom of a kid who's really rambunctious and might be super hyper at the moment, and another mom saying, "I'd never have that kind of patience." These aren't like overtly mean comments, but taken by a mom who is already feeling weights and pressures can be seen and felt as judgment. And I don't think it's an intentionally mean thing. It's often driven by insecurity, by fear, or maybe trying to affirm that there's things that we're doing well, that we've got together ourselves. So I think one of the ways that we handle it is first knowing that this can be something that can be easily ingrained in ourselves. Notice that impulse. Take a quick mental check and pause before we let comments that we say take root. So how can we do that and recognize it in ourselves and in others? Listen for comparison-driven language. "At least I," or "I would never," can be a sign that that might be something that has a judging kind of tone to it. Noticing if we feel relief when someone else struggles, that's often disguising some self-doubt. And of course, misery loves company. When we're going through different struggles, it is helpful to understand that we're not the only one. But also, if we're really seeking that out, noticing that we are feeling maybe that we are having inadequacies, and that maybe we're putting extra weight on ourselves that we don't need to be. Watch for subtle exclusion when advice turns to correction or empathy turns into competition. So saying something like, "Oh, you know what? That must be really hard to not get any sleep. You know, the thing that you should do is," can be a judging way to go about it, not understanding everything else that may be going into it. I think a big question to ask ourselves is, am I connecting or am I comparing? Am I trying to prove something, or am I really being there for someone in a space that and in a way that they need? I think complimenting with intention can also go a really long ways. Saying, instead of "I could never do that," when you see a mom who has tons of patience with a kid, really being specific about how we compliment them. I love how patient you are with your kids is a good way to say that. I think celebrating other people's wins is so important for us to practice. I love that phrase, that analogy people say, it's not a pie. Her win doesn't mean your loss. Just because you give that piece of pie away doesn't mean there's less pie for you. And by affirming other wins and successes in women, in moms, that collectively spreads these good feelings, good intentions, good vibes, good encouragement that start their own perpetuation of themselves. I think we need to listen more and fix less. Sometimes other moms just need space to be heard and not told how they should be doing things. Oftentimes when moms are venting, they may not be telling everything surrounding it. And so when we're giving advice in that friend or family setting, we may not have all of the details, and so might give suggestions that isn't going to be as helpful since we don't have all of those. I think when a mom says specifically, what have you done? What have you found that works for you? That's a great opportunity to share advice or experiences that have been helpful to you. I think a tool that's useful to use in this sense also is asking a parent, asking a mom when she's going through something or seems overwhelmed, just acknowledging their feelings and saying, what can I do to be helpful to you? Would this be something that if I shared an experience of how I went through something similar, would that be helpful? Instead of jumping into what exactly it is that they need. And I think one thing we have to be really careful about is making sure we redirect conversations when we're in mom groups. Making sure that when gossip or judgment starts, we're pivoting with kindness or curiosity, that we're not engaging in discussions about, well, did you see what she did as a form of punishment for that kid? Or did you see what that child brought in their lunch? I mean, those kinds of things are not building up moms. It's not building us up to be helping each other and not creating that collective space where we're lifting each other up. Ways that can be helpful when you're in group settings is saying, I wonder what she's going through. I wonder what's a way that we can help her. If someone's talking about how tired somebody looks or seems like they might be at wit's end, saying, what can we do to collectively come together and help her? You can ask her if want a play date or if she wants to take a nap or something like that. And I think modeling grace for our children and making sure that this isn't a legacy that we continue on as women, that we are showing them how to treat others by watching how we treat other women is really important. Inside the exam room, I see some evidence of some of this weight and burden and judgment that moms are carrying. Of course, there's lots of different behaviors, lots of different concerns, but there's a couple of patterns that stand out. One are moms who doubt every decision that they make. They are worried and sometimes just frozen by the fears of the different options. And I think social media has done a lot to make this harder for moms because you can find diametrically opposite opinions. And each one is so firm in their conviction that if you do it any other way, that you're harming your child. And that's a huge weight to bear. And there are some moms who are just trying to take in so much information and want to do what's best. And it's really hard to sort through it all. I think one thing that we can do, and a challenge that I'd like to set out for any moms who might be listening, the next time you find yourself maybe judging another mom, Turn it into a cheer. Think to yourself, that's working for her family, good for her. She's doing her best. Thinking about ways that we can affirm women in what we say, looking for ways to compliment them, looking for ways to affirm them, even in our own heads, instead of judging, can be a way that we are also practicing being less judgmental about ourselves as well. The world is already so hard on women and even harder on moms. Let's not make it any harder. Let's make it brighter by working together and looking for any ways that we can really praise what each other are doing and lifting that load that we all seem to carry.